Ever crawl into bed completely wiped out, finally fall asleep, and then find yourself wide awake at 2 in the morning, shuffling to the bathroom? Then it happens again at 4 a.m., and maybe again right before sunrise. A lot of people just shrug and say, well, I guess that's what getting older is like. But not so fast. Because in a lot of cases, it's not just age. And it might not even be your bladder. It could be what's showing up on your plate every day. Doctors call it nocturia, waking up during the night to urinate, and it's incredibly common, especially after age 60. But here's something most people never hear. The foods you eat can have a huge impact on how often your bladder pulls you out of bed. Some foods irritate the bladder. Some cause your body to hold on to extra fluid during the day and dump it at night. And others can actually help your bladder stay calmer and more comfortable while you sleep. Today, we're going to look at 8 foods that may help reduce those frustrating nighttime bathroom trips based on what researchers have been finding over the last several years. No miracle cures, no gimmicks, just practical, science-backed foods that may help you get a better night's sleep. Let's get started.
Bananas. Let's start with something easy. If you're tired of getting dragged out of bed by your bladder every night, bananas might be one of the simplest foods you can add to your routine. Here's why. Bananas are packed with potassium, and potassium helps your body keep its fluid levels in balance. When you're getting enough potassium, your body is less likely to hang on to extra water during the day. Less extra fluid means less fluid your kidneys have to get rid of while you're trying to sleep. But that's only part of the story. Bananas also give you a decent amount of magnesium, and magnesium is a big player when it comes to bladder health. Think of magnesium as a natural relaxer for your muscles. Your bladder is made up of muscle tissue, and when those muscles get irritated or overly sensitive, they can start sending false alarms in the middle of the night. That's when you get that sudden feeling of, I've got to go right now. When magnesium levels are where they should be, those bladder muscles tend to stay calmer and less reactive. Try having a banana in the evening, slicing one into some yogurt or blending it into a smoothie. Simple, affordable, easy to stick with.
Oatmeal. Now, let's talk about oatmeal. Most people think of oatmeal as breakfast food. But if you're waking up multiple times a night to use the bathroom, oatmeal can actually help in a couple of different ways. First, oats are loaded with soluble fiber, and fiber helps keep your digestive system moving regularly. Why does that matter? Because even mild constipation can put extra pressure on your bladder. When your bowels are backed up, they can physically press against the bladder and make it feel fuller than it really is. That extra pressure can trigger nighttime urgency and send you running to the bathroom more often. The second benefit is blood sugar control. Oats digest slowly, which means they don't cause big spikes in blood sugar. That's important because high blood sugar forces the kidneys to work harder. When glucose levels stay elevated, your kidneys try to flush that extra sugar out through your urine. More sugar being filtered means more urine being produced. And more urine means more nighttime bathroom trips. Plain old-fashioned oats are your best choice. Skip the flavored packets loaded with added sugar. Add a little cinnamon, some blueberries, or a handful of walnuts instead. Your bladder and your blood sugar will thank you. Now let's talk about Greek yogurt. This is one food that earns its spot on the list for more than one reason. First, it's packed with probiotics. And if you're wondering what your gut has to do with your bladder, the answer is quite a bit. Researchers are learning more every year about the connection between gut health and bladder health. When the bacteria in your gut are balanced and healthy, inflammation throughout the body tends to be lower. That includes inflammation in the bladder. And a calmer bladder is less likely to keep sending those annoying "you need to go" messages in the middle of the night. But that's not all. Greek yogurt also provides important minerals like calcium and magnesium. Both help relax smooth muscles, and that's exactly the kind of muscle your bladder is made of. Think about it this way.
An overactive bladder is often a bladder that's firing before it actually needs to. Giving your body the nutrients that help those muscles stay relaxed can make a real difference. Just make sure you're choosing plain Greek yogurt. Skip the flavored versions loaded with added sugar. If you want a little extra flavor, toss in some blueberries or a light drizzle of honey. It makes a great afternoon snack and works well as part of an evening routine too.
Tart cherries. Tart cherries might be one of the most overlooked foods when it comes to better sleep and fewer nighttime bathroom trips. Most people have never even thought about them. But they bring two major benefits to the table. The first is melatonin. Tart cherries are one of the few natural foods that contain meaningful amounts of melatonin, the hormone that helps regulate your sleep cycle. And melatonin does more than help you fall asleep. It also works closely with another hormone that tells your kidneys to slow down urine production during the night. When that system is working the way it's supposed to, your body produces less urine while you're sleeping. Less urine means fewer interruptions. Fewer interruptions mean better sleep. The second benefit is inflammation control. Tart cherries are rich in natural plant compounds that help calm inflammation throughout the body. And when inflammation in the bladder goes down, the bladder often becomes less sensitive and less reactive. That's exactly what you're looking for if you're tired of waking up multiple times every night. If you're buying tart cherry juice, look for the unsweetened kind. Added sugar can irritate the bladder and cancel out many of the benefits. A small glass in the evening is usually enough. You can also mix tart cherries into yogurt or oatmeal for an easy combination. Pumpkin seeds. Don't let their size fool you. Pumpkin seeds may be small, but when it comes to bladder health, they pack a pretty impressive punch. In fact, researchers have looked at pumpkin seed oil specifically for urinary and bladder health, and the findings have been encouraging. One reason is that they're loaded with magnesium. By now, you know the story with magnesium. It helps relax the bladder muscle and may reduce those sudden urges that seem to show up at the worst possible time, usually when you're finally sleeping. But pumpkin seeds bring something else to the table too: omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3s help calm inflammation throughout the body, including the low-level inflammation that can make the bladder overly sensitive. A calmer bladder is a quieter bladder, and that's exactly what you're after. There have even been studies looking at pumpkin seed oil, with some participants reporting improvements in overactive bladder symptoms and fewer nighttime bathroom trips. A small handful in the afternoon or evening is all you need. Throw them on a salad, mix them into yogurt, blend them into a smoothie, or simply eat them as a snack. And if you really want to level up, try using a little cold-pressed pumpkin seed oil on your salad. Apples aren't trendy. They're not some exotic superfood, but sometimes the simplest foods are the ones that quietly get the job done. One reason apples make this list is because of a natural compound called quercetin. Quercetin is a powerful antioxidant found mostly in the skin of the apple. And one of the things it appears to do is help calm inflammation. When the bladder wall is irritated or inflamed, it tends to send urgency signals much sooner. That's why some people feel like they need to use the bathroom even when their bladder isn't very full. Reducing inflammation may help raise that threshold and give you a little more breathing room at night. Apples also contain plenty of soluble fiber. Just like oatmeal, that fiber helps keep digestion moving smoothly and reduces pressure on the bladder. And unlike some fruits that cause a quick sugar spike, apples release their natural sugars gradually. That helps keep blood sugar steadier overnight. One apple a day is more than enough. Have it as a snack, slice it into your oatmeal, or pair it with a few almonds or a small piece of cheese. Simple foods, real benefits. Now, let's talk about sweet potatoes. Honestly, sweet potatoes are one of those foods that seem to do a little bit of everything. And when it comes to nighttime bathroom trips, they check a lot of important boxes. First, they're loaded with potassium and magnesium, the same powerful combination we talked about with bananas. Potassium helps your body manage fluid balance more efficiently, while magnesium helps relax muscles, including the muscles involved in bladder function. But sweet potatoes bring something extra to the table:
They're packed with antioxidants, especially beta-carotene, which helps fight inflammation throughout the body. And that's a bigger deal than most people realize. A lot of bladder irritation isn't caused by infection or disease. It's caused by low-grade chronic inflammation that builds up slowly over time. You don't necessarily feel it happening, but year after year, that inflammation can make the bladder more sensitive and more likely to send urgency signals when it doesn't need to. That's why consistently eating anti-inflammatory foods matters. Not once in a while, not when you remember, consistently. Sweet potatoes are also interesting because even though they taste sweet, they have a relatively low glycemic index. In plain English, that means they don't send your blood sugar on a roller coaster ride. Instead, they release energy slowly and steadily. And as we've already talked about, stable blood sugar usually means less urine production overnight. Less extra urine means fewer reasons for your bladder to wake you up at 2 o'clock in the morning. The best part? They're incredibly easy to add to your routine. Roast them with a little olive oil and some herbs. Mash them as a side dish. Or slice them thin, sprinkle on some cinnamon, and bake them in the oven. Pair them with grilled chicken, fish, beans, or lentils, and you've got a meal that doesn't just taste good, it actively supports better sleep and better bladder health.
Now, let's talk about cranberries. People have been using cranberries for bladder and urinary health for years, but most folks don't actually know why they help. It's not just some old home remedy. There's real science behind it. Cranberries contain natural compounds called proanthocyanidins, or PACs for short. And these PACs do something pretty impressive. They make it harder for bacteria, especially E. coli, which causes most urinary tract infections, to stick to the walls of your bladder. Think of it like putting a non-stick coating on a frying pan. If the bacteria can't stick, they can't settle in and cause as much trouble. And when bacteria aren't hanging around irritating the bladder, you get less inflammation and fewer of those constant "I need to go" signals. But that's not the only benefit. Cranberries also contain powerful antioxidants that help calm inflammation throughout the urinary tract. And a calmer bladder is usually a less reactive bladder. That means fewer sudden urges, fewer interruptions, and hopefully fewer trips to the bathroom while you're trying to sleep. Now, here's the important part. Not all cranberry products are created equal. Most cranberry juices sold in grocery stores are packed with added sugar, and that's a problem because sugar is one of the biggest triggers for an irritated, overactive bladder. So if you're shopping for cranberry juice, flip the bottle around and read the label. What you're looking for is 100% pure, unsweetened cranberry juice. You don't need a huge amount. Just a few ounces in the evening is plenty. And honestly, fresh or frozen cranberries may be an even better option. Throw them into a smoothie, mix them into Greek yogurt, or stir them into a bowl of oatmeal. Simple, easy, and bladder-friendly.
Before we wrap this up, there's one thing the research keeps showing over and over again. It's not just about one food. It's about the overall pattern of how you eat. A lot of people watch videos like this and think, okay, I'll eat some pumpkin seeds and drink a little cranberry juice. That's great. But if the rest of your diet is packed with salty processed foods, you're still fighting an uphill battle. Study after study shows that people who eat more fruits and vegetables tend to have fewer nighttime bathroom trips. And on the flip side, people eating high sodium diets tend to struggle with nocturia much more often. Here's the surprising part. About 70 to 75% of the sodium most Americans consume doesn't come from the salt shaker. It comes from processed foods. Things like chips, canned soups, frozen meals, fast food, deli meats, crackers, and packaged snacks. So cutting back on those foods may help just as much as adding the foods we talked about today. Both sides matter. Now, here are a few simple habits that can make an even bigger difference. Try stopping fluids about 2 to 3 hours before bed. That doesn't mean dehydrating yourself all day. Just avoid loading up on water right before you climb into bed. If you drink coffee, tea, or alcohol, try to cut them off by mid-afternoon. All three can irritate the bladder and increase urine production.
And here's one trick most people have never heard of. If you've been sitting most of the day, spend 20 to 30 minutes with your feet elevated before bed. When fluid pools in your legs during the day, your body often pushes that fluid back into circulation after you lie down. Your kidneys then filter it, your bladder fills up, and suddenly you're wide awake at 1 in the morning. Elevating your legs before bed helps your body process some of that fluid earlier, so there's less waiting for you in the middle of the night. None of these changes are extreme. No special program, no expensive supplements, no prescription required. Just small, consistent habits that can add up to better sleep, better energy, and a much happier bladder.